Let's be real for a second. When you feel like you have absolutely no money, the idea of budgeting can sound kind of ridiculous, right? Even pointless. But here's the truth. That's actually the most crucial time to do it. This isn't about restriction. It's about taking back control. So let's dive into the roadmap that gets you there. This right here, this is everything. You've got to get this mindset shift locked in from the start. Budgeting is not a punishment for being broke. It's your personal game plan, your strategy guide to go from feeling completely stuck to actually making real, tangible progress.
So here's what we're going to cover. We've got a clear 6-part plan. We'll start by getting out of the fog and into focus. Then we'll talk about covering your absolute core needs. After that, it's all about the 2 big levers, cutting costs and boosting income. Then we'll get into mastering your dollars with specific methods, building up some financial armor, and finally, making this whole thing stick for good.
All right, first up, Section 1, from fog to focus. I love that phrasing, because that's exactly what this first step is all about. It's about taking that feeling of overwhelming chaos and turning it into a puzzle that you can actually solve.
And this slide just nails that emotional journey. When you're just reacting to bills as they come in, life feels chaotic, like you're constantly putting out fires. But the second you start budgeting, you get clarity. You stop being reactive and you become proactive. And trust me, that shift changes absolutely everything.
So how do we get that clarity? Well, it all starts with 2 incredibly simple but totally non-negotiable first steps. First, you've got to list every single dollar that comes in. Your paycheck, a side gig, tips, anything and everything. Then, you track every single dollar that goes out. And hey, no judgment here, okay? This isn't about feeling bad about your spending. It's just about gathering the data to create a 100% honest snapshot of where you're at right now. Okay, once you have that clear picture, we can move into Section 2, covering your core needs. Now we can start to prioritize. This is all about building a solid financial foundation by focusing only on what is absolutely essential. This pyramid visual makes it so easy to understand. Think about it. The base, the foundation of everything, is food and shelter, a roof over your head and food to eat. Once that's secure, you move up to the next level, utilities and transportation to get to work. Everything else has to wait. But what if your income doesn't even cover that base? This is a tough spot, and it's where you have to shift into proactive crisis management. That means picking up the phone before a bill is late. Call your landlord, call the utility companies, ask about payment plans or hardship extensions. Look up local food pantries. The key, again, is to get ahead of the problem. Be proactive, not reactive. So, now that you mapped out your core needs, we get to Section 3. This is where we look at the 2 fundamental levers you can pull to change your situation. You can either spend less money or you can make more money. It's that simple. Let's start with that first lever, cutting costs. This is going to require some serious honesty and, yeah, probably some temporary sacrifices. When you're in a tight spot, a luxury isn't a yacht. It's literally anything that isn't tied to your immediate survival. Just remember, these cuts are not forever. They're a short-term strategy to create long-term stability. And here are the usual suspects. Your homework is to go through your bank statement line by line. Find those silent expenses. You know, the subscriptions you totally forgot about that are just draining your account. Cancel them. Pause the gym membership. Switch to store brand groceries. Every single cut adds up. And if you think those small cuts don't make a difference, get this. A $5 coffee every day before work, that's $150 a month. $150. For a lot of us, that's a whole utility bill, a tank of gas, or a huge chunk of groceries, all freed up from just one tiny change.
Now, for that second lever, boosting income, check out this chart. Earning just an extra $50 a week from some gig work or selling a few things online, that adds $200 to your monthly budget. $200. That can literally be the difference between sinking and staying afloat.
So, you're cutting costs, you're looking to boost your income. Now it's time for Section 4, mastering your dollars. Let's get into the actual nitty-gritty techniques that give you direct, hands-on control over every single dollar.
One of the most powerful methods out there is the zero-based budget. The concept is actually really simple. Your income minus all of your spending equals 0. Now, that doesn't mean you have no money left. It just means that every single dollar has a job. This part goes to rent, this part goes to groceries, and this part goes to savings. Nothing is wasted or just disappears.
Now, if you're somebody who struggles with swiping a debit or credit card a little too freely, the cash envelope method is a total game changer. It's so tactile. You physically withdraw your cash for variable spending, like groceries, and you put it in a labeled envelope. You can actually see the money dwindling. And when that envelope is empty, you're done. It's a simple but incredibly powerful way to enforce your own rules.
A budget is an amazing tool, but, life happens. A flat tire, an unexpected trip to the doctor, one little thing can derail all of your hard work. And that's why Section 5, Building Financial Armor, is so unbelievably important.
Your absolute first line of defense is a small emergency fund. And don't think of this as some huge, impossible savings goal. Just think of it as a financial shock absorber. It's just a small cushion of cash that's there to handle minor emergencies so you don't have to immediately go into debt.
You build this thing one tiny step at a time. Your first goal isn't $1,000. Your first goal is just $100. That's it. Once you hit that, you aim for $500. You have to celebrate these small wins along the way. They build momentum, and they prove to yourself that, hey, I can actually do this.
And what about debt? Well, there are two main strategies. The avalanche method has you paying off the debt with the highest interest rate first, which saves you the most money over time. But the snowball method has you paying off the smallest debt first, just to get a quick psychological win and build momentum. Neither one is wrong. The best method is simply the one that keeps you motivated to stick with it.
Okay, we've covered the tools, we've covered the strategies. Now we're at our final and most important section, how to turn this whole thing into a sustainable, life-changing habit for the long haul. Long-term success really just comes down to these key principles. You got to be consistent and check in with your budget every week. You've got to be resilient because you'll have setbacks. Just celebrate your wins and get back on track. And most importantly, you have to change your self-talk. Start saying, I'm broke. Start telling yourself, I am taking control of my money. That mindset is everything.
We've covered a lot, but please remember, budgeting when you're broke isn't a life sentence of restriction. It is your single most powerful tool for building a better future. It is proof that your current situation is just temporary. So, I'll leave you with this one question. What is the one step you will take today to regain control?